The revolutionary de Havilland Comet debuted as the world's first jet airliner in 1952, but within 2 years suffered a series of mid-air structural breakups, halting its commercial career. From the comet's scrapped remains arose the ingenious Nimrod submarine hunter, continuously evolving through crises into generations of outstanding naval guardianship. This adaptable sentinel protected Britain's waves with sensors and persistence for decades. How did design flaws manage to evade the engineers of the most advanced airliner of its era? And why did it take disaster to reveal Nimrod's true purpose as a supreme oceanic sentinel birthed in crisis? Join us as we uncover the truth about the failed flight experiment that spawned a military monster. The de Havilland, with its tight, futuristic design and blistering speeds, promised to revolutionize air travel and dominate passenger aviation for decades. But in only 2 years aloft, a chilling pattern of explosive mid-air breakups emerged that doomed Britain's shining aeronautics achievement. By the time extensive investigations finally uncovered flaws deep in the comet's metal structure, its hard-won spot at the pinnacle of passenger aviation had been lost forever. The very design features that made the jet so advanced had seeded the cracks that brought it down. But while commercial potential evaporated in the comet's smoking wreckage, military thinkers saw opportunity in its hardy remains. From the ashes of Britain's failed aeronautics experiment rose an ungainly machine purpose-built for Cold War dominance. The Nimrod maritime patrol aircraft was created by modifying leftover parts from scrapped airliners. It turned into a surveillance hub filled with rotating domes, antenna arrays, and magnetic detectors. Inside the expansive fuselage, space once filled with civilian travelers now housed operators for cutting-edge radars, acoustic detection gear, and signals interception systems. The British jet, made from recycled parts and powered by Rolls-Royce Spey turbofans, has longer endurance than other maritime airplanes. Behind bomb bay doors lurked 20,000 pounds of torpedoes, depth charges, and air-to-air missiles awaiting lethal deployment. In RAF squadron service by 1969, the adapted Comet airframe had found its true calling as a ruthlessly efficient force multiplier against the growing Soviet submarine threat. With advanced avionics for every signals intelligence and anti-submarine warfare mission, Nimrods breathed down the necks of Russian boomers across the Atlantic and Arctic. The type's skillful coordination with NATO task groups to maintain a persistent track of undersea threats became a Cold War calling card. An exceptional operational debut in the Falklands conflict proved the stalwart offspring of Britain's aeronautical disaster could flex its muscles for bombing raids just as readily. By war's end in the South Atlantic, no doubts remained about the failed flight experiment from which this multifaceted guardian emerged. The ill-starred Comet airliner that precipitated a crisis of confidence in Britain's storied aviation industry had returned as the RAF's unsinkable jack-of-all-trades. After 4 decades as an open ocean sentinel, the overlord of airborne early warning and angel of mercy for downed airmen, the Nimrod's epic Cold War tenure finally closed in 2010. But with its last mournful turbofan shutdown, the mighty hunter's proud watch also ended over the Atlantic lanes it guarded so long. By proving the ultimate maritime sentinel evolved not from visionary innovation, but post-disaster improvisation, the scrapped airliner turned sub-slayer showed how unforeseen recovery can eclipse intended triumph. In this aging hybrid jet's adaptable airframe dwells enduring proof of British resolve forged from crisis. With the Comet airliner's commercial life left in ashes after its high-profile disasters, government aerospace engineers saw opportunity in the surviving airframes scattered in hangars. Though the jet's flaws proved fatal for civilian transport, its hardy structure could find new purpose in military adaptation. After extensive reworking of the Comet's wings and fuselage, a strange metamorphosis took shape on the drawing boards. The sleek jetliner contours bulged into a more muscular form brimming with antennas, blisters, and decks for cutting-edge avionics. Rolls-Royce Spey turbofans would drive the enlarged airframe to higher ceilings and longer ranges, befitting an endurance platform built for grueling maritime patrol. Within the swollen fuselage, the stylish passenger cabin space underwent its own dramatic transformation. The new mission demanded a spacious, reconfigurable interior packed with displays and workstations, so creature comforts were stripped for racks of electronic warfare gear. A massive weapons bay for aerial mines and ship-killing torpedoes was bulldozed into the belly. Emerging from this extreme adjustment in 1967 was an entirely new species of aircraft, one blending the genes of bomber, spy plane, and submarine hunter into a single, formidable airframe. Christened the Nimrod after the mythic Babylonian overlord, it entered squadron service in October 1969 with a reputation equal parts marine sentinel, floating sensory platform, and angel of death for lurking undersea threats. The revived husks of Britain's doomed airliner had become the throbbing mechanical heart of something never envisioned by the Comet's creators. But as the Nimrod's Cold War career unfolded, its uncanny versatility would cement its reputation as the RAF's indispensable jack-of-all-trades for generations. By finding new purpose after disaster, the Comet's hardy ghost survived as a protector reborn stronger than commercial success might have allowed. As the RAF's first jet-powered maritime patroller, the Nimrod brought formidable new capabilities to the deadly game of cat and mouse with Soviet subs. Speed and altitude capacities allowing missions beyond the range of acoustic detection were coupled with advanced sensor suites to make the Nimrod a supreme oceanic huntsman. At the tactical core of the Nimrod's naval anti-submarine operations was a persistent track and trail of threats across vast expanses. Upon detecting a submerged contact with onboard sonar beacons and magnetic anomaly detectors, Nimrod crews would vector in frigates, helicopters, and attack subs to prosecute the target. Through skillful coordination of surface and aerial assets, British naval commanders could maintain a hounding vigil on Russian boomers as they traversed NATO sea lanes. By the mid-1970s, new technological advancements saw the Nimrod's sensory capabilities grow even sharper. The MR2's searchwater multimode radar gave British maritime guardians the ability to scan massive swathes of ocean and littoral zones simultaneously in all-weather conditions. Upgraded acoustic processors and computer automation enabled the system to cue optimal responses to underwater contacts. With these advanced avionics on board, the Nimrod could single-handedly handle every facet of an anti-submarine mission, from initial detection to coordinating strikes by ships and aircraft. By the late Cold War era, the RAF's aged Shackletons retired from Atlantic patrol duties, ceding the vital mission of keeping Britain's shores safe from underwater incursion entirely to the capable Nimrod. The Nimrod had elegantly slid into the apex predator niche at the top of the North Atlantic food chain. With no rivals in open ocean patrol endurance and the latest tools for finding and tracking stealthy steel sharks, Britain's maritime guardian was supremely adapted to rule Cold War sea lanes. The failed Airliner experiment had returned, reborn with instincts forged through disaster into a watcher whose vision escaped no movement beneath the waves for decades. The Nimrod's most dramatic combat debut came amidst the bitter winds and waves of the 1982 Falklands War, as Britain dispatched a naval task force 8,000 miles to retake the islands from Argentine invasion. The sudden flare-up created an ideal opportunity for Moscow's attack subs to slip undetected into the Atlantic fray. The need to maintain a vigilant sentry against this threat from below fell to the Nimrod. Through 4 distinguished decades, the Nimrod stood sentry over Britain's coasts, coordinating lethal blows against undersea adversaries. Yet by 2010, damning revelations of mismanagement and systematic safety issues suddenly threatened the Guardian's future. With the entire Nimrod fleet grounded amidst scathing inquiries, a core question emerged. Could this storied aircraft lineage tracing back to the scrapped Comet airliners survive its greatest crisis in the modern era? As tensions simmered, Nimrod MR2s began marathon 19-hour patrols from Ascension Island, sentry towers scouring the seas for signs of Argentine vessels and Soviet submarines looking to capitalize on the crisis. The aircraft's searchwater radar and infrared scanners painted detailed thermal pictures of ships hundreds of miles distant, feeding real-time tactical updates back to British commanders. Once open war erupted following the sinking of the Belgrano cruiser, the Nimrod demonstrated its flexibility as a combat multiplier, adapting to relay critical airborne command, control, and communications functions. After lugging palletized loads of Sidewinder missiles and cluster bombs into the embattled Falklands, Nimrods also pulled off daring strikes against shore targets. In between attack runs, the aircraft coordinated task force ships and helicopters during search and rescue missions for downed air crews. Throughout the conflict, the Nimrod operated as the RAF's floating airborne early warning and control post, validating its core design purpose: flexible adaptation to overcome any threat scenario. From methodical subhunter to quick-reaction gunship to guarding angel, the Nimrod spread its protective wings over land and sea. As the Union Jack was raised again over Port Stanley, no doubts remained about the military potential hidden within the remnants of the ill-starred 1950s experiment that birthed the Nimrod. The RAF's Phoenix had faced the ultimate crucible in the remote South Atlantic skies and returned hardened for grander Cold War duties ahead. While the Nimrod's core duties focused on Cold War anti-submarine warfare, the aircraft's versatile design enabled a striking variety of roles beyond maritime operations. In overseas deployments across the Middle East and South Asia, Nimrods adapted as flexible force multipliers for power projection across fluctuating mission sets. Throughout the 90s, Nimrods flew endless signals and electronic intelligence gathering sorties along Iraq's borders to facilitate strategic planning for the brewing Gulf War. The aircraft also served as critical communications relays between carrier battle groups in the Persian Gulf and commanders hundreds of miles inland coordinating the coming Desert Storm offensive. Once the air war kicked off in January 1991, Nimrods illuminated targets on coastal radars and directed lethal strikes by anti-ship helicopters against Saddam Hussein's naval fleet. By coordinating naval assets and feeding intelligence to warplanes, the crafty veterans enabled devastating blows to Iraqi maritime forces, attempting to retreat into home ports. Similar ingenuity aided British operations in Afghanistan and Libya, as Nimrods adapted their sensory and communications capabilities to new enemies and environments with little modification. After 4 decades as the RAF's foremost subhunter, the Nimrod had branched into diverse secondary roles, ranging from electronic eavesdropper to airborne command post to real-time battle manager. Like a well-traveled pocket knife passed down for generations, the Nimrod stood ever ready to open listeners, rescue gear, EW nodes, or gun systems based on whatever operational demands arose. Thanks to an enduring airframe honed for flexibility by initial disaster, Britain wielded an adaptable eye-in-the-sky champion whose vision plunged to the murkiest depths or soared to the brink of space with equal adeptness. While the Nimrod proved itself an adaptable force multiplier across many missions, its original purpose as the RAF's preeminent anti-submarine platform remained paramount. As the ultimate open ocean sentinel designed to counter the Soviet undersea threat, the Nimrod had no rival in this vital strategic role. Throughout the Cold War, at least one Nimrod aircraft stood perpetually ready on quick reaction alert status, prepared to launch within hours should Russian boomers encroach on Britain's home waters. Once airborne on patrol, the Nimrod's sophisticated surveillance suite could methodically comb thousands of square miles to locate underwater contacts with pinpoint accuracy. The aircraft's searchwater multimode radar, in tandem with magnetic anomaly detectors, infrared sensors formed an integrated sensory web few subs could evade. Time and again, Nimrods would race to intercept and closely monitor Soviet ballistic missile submarines whenever they surfaced to recharge batteries across the North Atlantic. By tenaciously maintaining contact and coordinating the response from NATO frigates, the Nimrod played a pivotal role throughout the later Cold War in tracking and neutralizing Russia's greatest undersea nuclear deterrent. While adapting its communications and weapons capabilities for ground attack missions abroad, the Nimrod never strayed from its original purpose, keeping Britain's coasts perpetually guarded against underwater incursion. Thanks to its evolutionary design and unmatched anti-submarine prowess, no aircraft before or since fulfilled this vital mission better than the Mighty Hunter. By relentlessly stalking Russian boomers deployed to dark Atlantic depths, the Nimrod proved mastery over its core duties could eclipse even startling versatility across 4 decades of global operations. After 40 years of meritorious RAF service across the Cold War battlespace, the Nimrod MR2's honorable tenure finally ended in March 2010. Despite its inauspicious developmental origins born from an aviation disaster, the aircraft affectionately dubbed the Mighty Hunter cemented its place as one of Britain's most versatile and venerated military guardians. With no equal in sustained open ocean patrol and strategic coordination against undersea threats, the hybrid aircraft that rose resiliently from the scrapped Comet airliners protected NATO's northern flank for a generation. During that prolific service, it embodied the pinnacle of late 20th century maritime sentinels, a powerful force multiplier adaptable at times as early warning platform, special operations gunship, floating command post, or guardian angel for imperiled sailors. Yet, while its ingeniously mutated airframe spread formidable protective wings across secondary mission sets, the Nimrod's core purpose had always been keeping Britain's coasts perpetually secure from underwater incursion. By pioneering airborne techniques for methodically tracking Russian attack subs to the very edge of acoustic detection range, then coordinating lethal responses from surface vessels, it dominated the crucial naval mission of anti-submarine warfare from it. So while the hastily converted jetliner arrived ugly as sin, its graceful swan song as 2010 drew near shone brightly after 4 distinguished decades, proving itself the ultimate open ocean sentry. By mastering the full spectrum of aerial maritime guardianship, beyond what either its creators or critics foresaw, the rescued ghost of Britain's aeronautics disaster returned to stay, the uncontested sentinel of land and sea right up to its final mournful turbofan shutdown. Slip through the forward cabin door of a Nimrod MR2 at dawn before a 12-hour maritime patrol, and you enter a realm that is equal parts battleship bridge and aviator's cave. Squeezing past the 5 jump seats reserved for tactical observers, the first sign this is no airliner comes when you enter the Nimrod's thrumming sensory nucleus. Here, in a rear-facing L-shaped cabin behind the flight deck, sits the mighty electronic brain coordinating the mighty Hunter's complex missions. 5 sensor operators peer into the aquatic void on video screens, scrutinizing a dizzying tableau of readouts from magnetic anomaly detectors, infrared arrays, and surface search radar. Synthesize data streams into the aircraft's automated plot table, fusing events transpiring simultaneously across hundreds of nautical miles into a single operational picture, updated each second. Every ship, surface, submarine, and underwater contact within a 300-mile radius is tracked and analyzed from this aerial watchtower in the name of maritime domain awareness. Ducking into the passageway behind the flight deck, the next compartment resembles a data center on rails. Racks filled with classified signals intelligence gear line the walls, pulling encrypted chatter from the skies to feed cryptologists aboard with their ears pressed to headphones. Bank after bank of antennas packed into the Nimrod's swollen nose ensure little slips past its perpetual electronic dragnet. Further back near the tail section, wedge past palletized boxes of the aircraft's searchwater multi-mode maritime radar into the cavernous bomb bay, now lined with modern rescue gear. The aerial anti-ship mines and homing torpedoes once stored here gave way years ago to emergency supplies for the Nimrod's overwater search and rescue duties. Inflatable rafts, trauma kits, and Lindholm extraction rigs now fill containers along the rear bulkhead, ready to snatch imperiled sailors from angry seas at a moment's notice. Ducking forward into daylight before the pre-patrol briefing reveals why this aging but ingenious aircraft design has safeguarded NATO's northern flank for over 40 years. As its crew silently gears up to loiter for half a day beyond lonesome oceanic horizons, the Nimrod stands ready as always to coordinate naval battles, eavesdrop on enemies, or save stranded lives. Though its future took shape reluctantly after disaster, today's grueling mission is sober proof of why this versatile maritime sentinel remains vital even now across the decades. And so the curtain closes on an age of stalwart aerial sentinels evolved in the shadow of disaster. As we bid farewell to the ingenious Nimrod whose cold warriors ruled Falkland's skies and guarded Atlantic lanes, we also honor the determined creators whose bold vision birthed this guardian from crisis in that distant, daring age of jet travel's infancy. Now this hybrid aircraft's remarkable Cold War tenure lives on through dramatized tales of submarine hunters morphing methods with each military challenge confronting them across the unforgiving oceans they patrol. Tales best discovered right here through vivid visions of maritime aviation's untold stories. So if you enjoyed this glimpse behind the scenes of how disaster recovery and flexible design made the Nimrod an icon of British ingenuity, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps support future vivid explorations of the amazing aircraft and astonishing aviation technology advances that have made our modern world possible.